All right, cool. Hey guys, welcome. Hopefully this is working. This is a lot of technology, and tis the age for it. I am Mrs. Sturman. I am one of the Hilliard esports coaches and advisors, and one of the League of Legends coaches. And I am here with Peter Wilson, my husband, who is
Hello,
also
hello.
one of our League of Legends coaches.
I'm the strategic coach for the team, trying to help out the kids with their strategy in game, trying to help them get better at the game, develop the teamwork, develop the skills. It's all good. All right, so we are into the pick ban right now. So we have a first pick Wukong on the blue side, and we have a first pick Pantheon on the red side. Interesting. Okay, so it could be
Wukong is
junglers, could be
broken right
top
now.
laners. Wukong is very broken, indeed. Right, is going
For
to be
those of you who
nothing
don't know what that
embarrassing.
means, it means he's very good.
He's very strong, very strong. So all the champions in League of Legends have different innate strengths and capabilities based upon what the company Riot Games decides that they get. So right now Wukong is in a very strong state, a good pickup for that team. So Pantheon and Xayah for the other team. So Pantheon is a flex pick. He can either go to the top or the jungle. Xayah will definitely be in the AD carry role. So now that we have Ornn over on the blue side picked, we're expecting that Wukong to go into the jungle and Ornn to go top lane, but you never know. There could be some spicy flexes. We'll have to see. So what are they going to pick next? Ooh, the Yasuo. Wow.
Ooh.
So I know this is something that Alex has practiced quite a bit. I know that sometimes he thinks it's a little bit of a risky pick because it is one of those champions that has a very high skill ceiling, a lot of execution on that. But we do have knockups on the team, right? Which is something Yasuo loves. He can ult off of those knockups, so good synergy there. And they do have the Xayah and the Rakan locked in on the red side now. So
for those of you who don't know, Xayah and Rakan, Riot actually made them as like a couple, and so their abilities can play off of each other. And when they do something like backing, they can even hop to each other. And normally, when you go back to the fountain on Summoner's Rift, it takes a certain amount of time to get there every time, like 8 seconds, and then they can back together. So that's a little cute bonus for them.
Definitely cute. They kind of get drawn back onto the fountain together. You see him go up in that recall animation, so it's definitely a cool thing that Riot did with that. They're called the Lovers Duo. That's the title they gave them. So we have more bans coming out. So looks like they're starting to ban out the support pool on the red side. They got that Alistair ban and the Leona ban locked in, targeting awesome 157. That is, or I guess 10,057, sorry. And that is Will's champion pool. So we have the Olaf coming out. So they're expecting that Pantheon to go probably top lane if they're banning that Olaf, since that is a top laner. We'll see what the last ban is as we lock it in here.
And for those of you looking in, ooh, Lux ban.
Yeah, so that is one of the, I think, few, if not only, champions that Hilliard XD plays in the mid lane, so definitely a target ban there. So we'll have to see what he ends up locking in. So
also, for those of you looking, you'll see a lot of them have tags next to their name of HCSD for Hilliard City School District. This is actually our varsity team versus our JV team, and in this quarantine esports tournament, these guys are playing each other, and they got matched up with each other today. So it's kind of fun to have an in-house family game going on, and that's why we're trying to especially get it casted and put out for you guys, because this is all Hilliard all the time.
Yep. So we have the final picks for the junior varsity team coming in right now. Jin, I know that is Blake or Abject's. It is pretty much, most played champion, I think. I'm not certain about the mastery on it, but the mastery points, not his control of the champion, mind you, just how much he's literally played it. But so on the other side we have the Nautilus, which is very interesting. It looks like they're going to take the Nautilus into the mid lane, since Rakan can really only go in the support position, and Nautilus is more of a flex. And I know I heard some talk about the Nautilus mid last night, so we'll see if that is what comes through. So we have the Jin Braum, which the synergy's a little bit low right there because Jin doesn't have the attack speed to proc the passive as much, but still definitely a dangerous lane and a good peel for the Jin because you can get that
good
stun.
To get the slows and the ult.
Yep. We'll see if they invade with that as well, because it's
is Cam gonna pick up his Evelyn?
Yes,
Hansifer.
That is one of Cam's favorites. It's a champion, for those of you who don't know, who is very stealthy. So there's a class of champions in this game called Assassins, and those are ones that are meant to kind of seek out the squishier champions, the more carry-oriented champions that are in more danger but do more damage. And those Assassins can kind of take them off the map very, very quickly. And Evelyn is a special case of those assassins where she actually goes what's called camouflaged in the game. So she can sneak around on the map, and she is not able to be seen until she gets really, really close to the other champion. So
Peter, Cam is doing the camouflage champion.
True. So he is working in the puns. He is working in the stealth. We are going to see what happens here. And it is one of those champions that you have to really pilot quite well, right? It's the type of thing where if you just run into the front line and you're trying to engage as you normally might on a more hard engaged jungler, you will just get blown up and you will be useless in those fights. So let's see what it can do with it. So as spectators, we do have a 3-minute delay before we get into the game, so we can kind of talk about these comps a little bit and see what's going to happen.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to really ask you, Peter, as we're heading in here for, kind of in the different layers for people who are familiar with League of Legends and do watch this, what can they be looking out for? But also, for maybe the parents and other family members. Right? Yeah, absolutely. What can they be watching for?
So the big thing we need to go over very, very first is what is League of Legends? What is the objective of the game? So you can kind of see it in this map that we have here on screen. That's a depiction of Summoner's Rift. So as you can see, we have that top lane that extends around the top side. We have that middle lane that goes straight through the center and divides that river. And then we have the bot lane, which goes around the bottom side of the map. So all those lanes lead to that big crystal structure on the other side called the Nexus. And there is one on the blue or the bottom left side as well. We just can't see that right now because it's depicting the opponents. But on both sides, there is a nexus, and the teams gradually are trying to work their way through, and they are trying to get to that nexus and blow it up for the enemy team. So essentially, you're going to see towers in the lanes that are defenses against getting to that nexus. You're going to see minions that always spawn, and those minions are always just these little what we would call non-player characters or NPCs that are fighting each other, and they do some damage to the champions that the actual players are playing. And they are also sources of gold for the players that are playing. So that gold gets you items. Those items make you stronger. And the big thing that is going to be colliding on Summoner's Rift are not the minions. They are actually the players themselves on these champions that we've been talking about during the pick and ban. So,
so
that is what we're controlling and piloting.
I like to think of this game as like almost a strategic game of chess. Except you are also one of the pieces you're moving around. And then the minions, like what Peter said, and all of these other objectives, you'll see us talking about Dragon and Scuttle and Baron and Rift Herald, things like that. And if you don't need to know exactly what they do, but we'll talk about that. But just know that, it's all pieces of a chess puzzle and you're moving them around, and they actually gain various strength throughout the game. So, the different champions will get stronger as they get more gold, and, different kind of buffs will happen, making the champion stronger too. So it's all about moving around the map and trying to strategize how you and your teammates can get stronger and how you can take lead over the other team to get to their nexus first and blow it up.
And so continuing on with that analogy, the minions are basically like pawns, right? They can only move forward. And so they're just constantly moving forward, constantly trying to give your team a little bit of an advantage. And the other pieces are much more complex in what they do, because the stuff in the jungle, you'll see like the dragons and the Baron and all the other stuff that
we're getting in there.
Getting in game, that's right.
Caleb Crowley, esports League of Legends alum, who is helping us with this cast. We appreciate you.
Very much.
His username is Egg and Toast. You'll notice
for sure.
What?
A shout out for Egg and Toast, for sure.
Yes. And you'll notice we'll call people by their summoner names and by their real names, because we know everyone, like we said, this is an in-house Hilliard game. But if you look there, their summoner names are on there. We have Nick the Awesome on the Ornn, Bubble Puppy on the Wukong, Phoenix,
that's Xander.
111126 on the Yasuo, Abject on the Jhin, and Awesome 157 on the Braum. All right, and then on the Varsity side, we got Logical with 2 L's on the Pantheon, Hansifer on the Evelyn. We got Hirado XD. Did I do that right, Peter?
Hirado?
Yeah, on the Nautilus. It's cool, whatever it is. XD is a thing for a big smiley face, and the esports or the web world. Eat Your Peas on the Zaya, and the Happy Asian Kid on the Rakan.
All right, so we do have everyone spawning into game now. So They are spawning on what's called the fountain, so that is where the characters start from, where when they back, they go to buy items, and where when their character does get killed, they are going to be going back to, and they have to be there for a short time before they can actually walk back onto the map. So right now, this is the beginning of the game, just kind of some level 1 posturing, so we see some stacking, just guarding against an invade, right? So they're expecting the invade to maybe come out, because they do have that Braum, like I mentioned before, with the very strong level 1, but they have the Nautilus there, they have the Recon there, so it's really good anti-invade. They can get that CC out and maybe get a pick if they do decide to do that. It looks like the blue team is not going to be doing so. They're just doing that 5-point guard, so you can kind of see the ward that's covering one of the entrances and the other champions on the mini-map in the bottom right of the map. They are guarding against an invade from the other team. So not too much is probably going to happen in this level 1 there, but people just kind of spamming some animations for fun, and
with the eat your peas and all those guys fake backing. That's what that channeling is.
Exactly. So right now, like we were saying before, these are the lanes. This is the middle lane. So the bottom lane is what we're panning to right now. After we go to the jungle here.
Ooh, we got a ward out already.
Yep, we got a ward out already as well to guard against some more invades that could possibly be happening early. So looking at the mid lane here, this is a lane matchup that is quite interesting, right? Because the Nautilus is something that you do occasionally see in the mid lane, something that was made a little bit more popular this last year at Worlds with the World Championship team, FPX, but it is something that, you know, it's really more of a tank champion, and Yasuo is a carry, and more often than not we see carry champions in the middle lane, meaning they're a little bit squishier, they do a little bit more damage, but we do want to kind of talk about the dynamic that we're going to have here. So the Yasuo is going to have a hard time damaging the Nautilus too much after he gets a lot of items, so he's very good at setting up for ganks because he has something called crowd control, or CC. So the Nautilus has that huge anchor he's carrying around, can hook the Yasuo in and set up for jungler ganks. So the junglers are the champions that...
too, if you want to direct him towards that. When someone presses tab, or just that information at the bottom talks about the CS, which is the minions, those pawns we were talking about, and then when you'll see the plus 14 that just went to eat your peas is the gold that they get for defeating this kind of pawn, this kind of minion, and so
and that's what you use to get the items and make yourself. So as we're looking here, we are seeing the bottom lane matchup. So Zaya and Rakan very, very strong together, as we talked about before. So now we're panning back to the top lane.
And some good skins, Peter. We got to talk about that skinergy of the bot lane.
We do. So
very important.
On all the champions, we have what are called skins, which just change the cosmetics, don't change the power of the champion at all, but they do change the way they look, and it's a fun way for the kids to express themselves and kind of have that type of look they want to when they're piloting that champion. So we just panned over the jungler there. That's the Wukong champion that we had talked about in Champ Select. So
going after the
junglers, the junglers are champions that run around the map and try and make a difference in all of the lanes. So you have those 3 lanes, and then you have the junglers trying to influence them. So right now, he's taking that Scuttle Crab. That Scuttle Crab gives gold, it gives experience, and it also gives vision. So you can also see some of the map is kind of covered up by a little bit of a darkness. So that is called the Fog of War. So right now we have vision for both teams, but it's a little bit hard to image if you've never played the game, but the teams cannot see the opposing team's vision. So that's what makes it a little bit scary. That's what makes it stealthy for those junglers to be coming into these lanes and making a difference. So let's look here and see. Oh, the Q from Braum lands. It gives a little bit of slow. You can see that passive there that they can try and proc. Yep.
I think we might be slightly off of each other, Peter. So when we get into shot calling the team fights, might be just a little delayed. I think I'm just
forgive the tech difficulties. We're doing the best we can with the circumstances. But I'm at the 426 game marker right now, so hopefully it's pretty close to where we're at.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. So now in the middle lane we have a little bit of trading going on, just contesting that minion wave. You can see Yasuo poking through the minions. It's a great poke from Phoenix or Alex in the middle lane, and he's pushing in that minion wave. Looks like he's roaming to try and either get some vision or maybe make a play, as his jungler's also roaming down. The wave is pushing into the red side, though. It's going to be hard to step it up. They might also just be getting some vision on Drake. You can see the vision plant coming down and just checking to see. They know they have the Scuttle Crab there now, so they know it might be a little bit difficult to check. You can see the ward in the
Drake
down. Yep. So for those who might know the game a little bit better, one of the big changes to the Dragons this season is the early on ones are, they're still good. They give you some stats, they give you some bonuses, but they're not nearly as important as the 4th Drake that either team gets, which gives you the Dragon's Soul. So that is a very strong buff that lasts the entire game. So looks like the team is deciding to...
Yep, I'm saying blue team is going down to the Drag Pit, and they've started it up. But the bot lane on the red side has seen it, and they're keeping their eye out there. Rakan is slowly watching, but saying, no, I don't think I want any of this. They got it. So they're going to go back and try to push their advantage bot lane while they know that the laners are gone. Meanwhile, the blue team is up, and they got it. So they got the Infernal Drake down with a smite from the jungler, and they're heading on back to, reset and go about their ways with that buff. That was a very good proactive play from our JV team.
Yeah, so let's talk about that setup a little bit, right? So one of the things that they do in order to prepare for that and did very well was they pushed in that middle lane, they pushed in that bottom lane, they checked the plant to see if, the vision plant I talked about earlier, to see if Evelynn was nearby, and they tried starting it up. They knew that if the middle lane or the bottom lane roamed immediately, they would lose all those minions, all that gold experience of the tower. And it looks like they have a fight in the top lane.
And we got some good action in the top lane. Nick the Awesome Dog took down Logical in the top lane. 1v1 me, bro. And he is getting out clean. Cam styling on his back, but he was not able to avenge his fallen comrade. That was a nice 1v1 in the top lane. They took advantage of the fact that they knew the bot lane was doing the drag and then backing, but our Ornn was able to hold it down in top lane.
And so the first blood is basically just the first kill that happens in the game. So when you kill the enemy champions, you get gold, and when you get that first blood, which is the first kill in the game, you get a little bit more gold than you normally would. And the gold you get for the kills is a good bit more than you get for just killing those minions. So those kills are a big deal. The other thing we want to notice about that, and maybe some later plays, later setups that the team should be talking about, we blew some flashes there. So a flash is something called a summoner spell, and those are the longest cooldowns we have in the entire game. So flash allows you to basically teleport away a very short distance very, very quickly. Great for avoiding ganks, great for engaging ganks with the jungler coming in and trying to influence those lanes. So the top laners' flashes are now down, so oftentimes when flashes are burnt, we see the junglers pathing up there because they're a little bit more vulnerable than they would be otherwise. So
and you'll see it here with that top lane 1v1. That's tons of gold in the blue team's favor. They had been actually below the gold of our varsity team up until that point, even with the Drake take. But now they are steadily, keeping that increase. Though varsity is still right behind them, so gold-wise, we're still pretty close for now.
That slight difference, because the first blood differential actually doesn't quite make up for it. Probably just a small farm difference, which is fine. So you can see up at the top of the screen, for those who don't know how the UI works, basically those little numbers by the gold coins are the amount of gold on each team. It's not a perfect idea of how far ahead or behind a team is, but it's a pretty darn good idea. So that's a nice way to kind of look at who's ahead on the map. We can also see that little fire symbol on the left side to see that there is a break they have, and looks like we might have a gank coming in here. So
I was gonna say, yeah, and we had Cam was spotted up top and showed some vision. But now in mid lane, we got the gank going on, and that is all she wrote. 2 really, really nice kills on the blue side. So a gank, we had the jungler coming in to help out Yasuo, our mid laner, to secure that kill on Nautilus. Peter will tell you more about it.
Absolutely. So that was beautifully set up by the Yasuo. You saw that tornado come out and knock him up. And knockups are, like we discussed briefly, how Yasuo gets his ultimate. So he can get it set up from another champion, he can set it up himself with that tornado. We have something else happening.
We have another gank coming now. Cam is saying, no, I too can play
flash on the Ornn.
And he's trying to get it. Let's see, and Ornn is down, and Cam is coming around behind it and charming him and killing him in the face, please.
So that is something that we talked about at the very start of this game, right? The Evelynn cannot be seen by that top laner, so very sneaky play, great way to work his way in and capitalize on that flash we talked about earlier. If Nick had that flash up, he may very well have been able to get away from that charm when it showed up. So looks like we have the bot lane pushing in. If I look for a recall here, looks like they're sitting on a good bit of gold. So just to talk a little bit more about that UI real quick for our new viewers, we have the kill score in the very center, right above the game time, where you have the 2-to-1, 2 kills for the blue team, 1 kill for the red. And on the bottom of the map, we just have a general game timer, kind of shows the objectives that have happened, and occasionally you're going to see pop up the scores that Mrs. Sturman had talked about earlier, and also the items that they have purchased with the gold they unlocked. So we did get that recall from the bottom lane. They probably have a decent advantage based upon how that's been going. We'll see. We do have the next Drake spawning. You can see that popping up on the map with a little yellow hourglass on the mini-map in the dragon pit. It might be a little bit closer to watch. And we have Evelyn taking the scuttle crab to make sure they have some vision even after she leaves the area. So the Infernal Drake, the first one, gives more damage. It gives you a buff of 4% attack damage and ability power. The Mountain Drake gives you more defense. So an interesting combination. If they could get both of those, more attack, more defense, always great. But if the red team can capitalize on this map positioning, they have the Pantheon roaming down, as you can see in the mid lane, then they might be able to negate some of that advantage that they've got from the Infernal Drake on the blue team. So we'll see what happens. It looks like they've already started up. And all coming out from Nautilus here.
And there's a logical ready to jump into his teammate's defense, pokes him in, and they're both hitting them, and that's just, he is all he wrote. He doesn't need flash or anything, that's it. And then the red team takes that, they say, we know we have a numbers advantage, we're just gonna go ahead and help ourselves to a little bit of Mountain Drake. Now, Abject was trying for that sneaky W, stealing it with his W.
It did
not work, but it was a valiant attempt. And the red team gets it. Hansifer secures it with a smite. And you'll see even before that they had a little dance of vision. We say warding wins games, and it does. And they made sure they had the vision, they had the numbers advantage, and they took it cleanly. They also got some turret plates off of that mid turret, which gives them some gold. It only happens in the beginning of the game. It gives them a little extra gold as we pan our way back down to bot. Now each team has a Drake to their name, 2 kills each. It was a pretty even game, with Varsity staying a little bit ahead due to farm.
Yeah, due to farm they are a little bit ahead, so a few things you want to keep in mind here. So nice tag there. They got this. Nope, they're going to disengage. They're going to disengage.
Shield around him. Alright, we're good. Walking out. No harm, no foul.
So the thing we want to kind of keep in mind there from the middle lane gank that we saw, right? We had that CC coming out from the Nautilus like we had talked about earlier, and those flashes had been burned earlier when they had gotten the kill on the blue team onto the Nautilus. So that's something to keep in mind for those more experienced players out there. If you blow a flash offensively, it can be capitalized on by the other team. So always keep that in mind if you're trading flashes to get a kill, because it might come back to bite you if you're not being careful in setting up your vision. So we do have, like we talked about,
spotted out on a ward.
Yep, so you can see that red colored ward right where Phoenix was standing. That means the other team knew he was there. He was not in the fog of war because of that vision that does indeed win games. Gives you information. It would make a great t-shirt. Every league player should know that by heart and have it over their heart as they wear the t-shirt. So as we pan over the map again, we look at the lane states, the game state. We have a decent farm lead building up in that bottom lane.
Yeah.
With Abject ahead, 21
Color me impressed there, Blake. Good for you.
His first completed item. So something that you kind of want to keep in mind with items in League of Legends, you can see a whole bunch of stuff built up on all those characters, but that first blue sword or katana looking thing that is by Abject's character profile down there, that's what we call one of the completed items. So those are much, much stronger than the components that lead up to them, and that gives him a nice big slow on his first auto attack he does as a champion. So
we have back to the Dance of Vision around the Rift Herald, affectionately known as Shelly this first time. And you'll see, Phoenix was trying to get that control ward, and then he was afraid to go in, but he finishes it off. And they're just playing around this next objective, neutral objective on the map. Going back and forth, trying to make sure they have the vision so they know where people are, what they're doing. And we have Bopuppy hopping in on Nautilus, trying to get him down. We have Cam collapsing on Logical, and it is a turn. Let's see, and that is all she wrote. And she wrote more, and it was death.
And we expect them to rotate straight up to this Rift Herald. They got the 2 picks, and there's really nothing that blue team can do to contest this. The only players they have on the map are the top laner and the bot laners, who are very far away. So you do not want to be going into the 1v3 on the top side with your top laner, so they are just going to give over this Rift Herald. So you kind of have the 2 major objectives on the opposing sides of the map with the Dragon Pit and the Rift Herald / Baron Pit. The Rift Herald spawns before 20 minutes, the Baron after 20 minutes. So the Rift Herald.
And that's some good damage down on this middle turret too.
Getting that damage on the turret there, and the Rift Herald is an objective that you can use for the next 4 minutes after you take it, and it charges into towers and does a lot of damage to the tower. So it's one of those easy ways to siege towards that Nexus. So we'll have to see how they use it. Probably taken by Ham or Hansford, the jungler. That's normally the one who takes it on that team. So we will see where they take that. Oh, he might have gone in for that wall, but he wisely did not take it. Wisely did not take it. That's one of the things you often see Yasuo's do, is taking ults when they shouldn't. So very wise by Phoenix there.
Yep. Yeah, sometimes discretion is very good for the players, you know, knowing when you can go all in and go in, knowing when you should back off and, you know, save it for a later day. And you'll notice the gold, if you look up to the top, it's still pretty even between these 2 teams. You know, they're doing really well kind of watching playing the map. Now, Peter, which team would you say has a stronger early game comp versus mid game, as we head into the mid game, versus the late game? What do you think?
So we definitely have the late game advantage on the blue team. So something you want to keep in mind when you're looking at that gold advantage, gold advantages are much more about a percentage advantage than they are about a number advantage. So even though it's a 2k gold lead, that's more like a 10% lead over the enemy team. So at this point in the game, that's a decent lead, but for a scaling team comp like this, what the blue team might want to focus on is making sure they do not let the other team snowball a lot bigger gold lead, because you have the Ornn, which is the top laner for the blue team, that can upgrade items and give a lot of gold's worth of stats to that team. So in that
right now, they're just doing that dance of vision again around this Cloud Drake that spawned. You'll see as our red team make their way to this brush, kind of keeping their eye out. You got to be careful. You don't want to run in. Oh, they're going in. They're starting it up. They see that one ward in there. So, but they're leaving it in there. Wondering if they should take it. Oh, and we have Jhin is ulting in, and they take the blast cone in. Say no, this is our drag. Braum all down, and we have going in. Oh, and the red team took it with a smite. Now, Phoenix found himself in the pit and dead because of that. Abject is trying to fight the Pantheon, and his support says, no, that's my support. They're running away, though. They don't want any of this, and the red team is still following because they are like, I want some of that, and there is death in the future of Jhin, and Jhin is down. Nice job going on there, and that is also the end of that first mid turret. Outer, we got Shelly. She didn't even really get to do much. She's a little sad. She's heading back down to the middle, and that was a huge turn, guys. The red team played that really well. We have a TP out for our Pantheon going back to try to stop that Ornn, say, hey, no, you don't get this turret, because he was pushing top, trying to get something for when the team lost that Drake.
And just as we talked about not wanting to let that snowball roll any further, we had a huge swing. The Caster Curse, I believe, is what they call it in the League Championship Series, or the LCS, the professional scene. Right as the casters talk about something, that exact opposite thing happens. So right now we have moved up to a 4.3 thousand gold lead, excuse me, a 5.3 thousand gold lead, and that is quite massive for this point in the game. And they secured the Drake, and they secured those 2 first mid towers. So we are looking at a very dire situation.
Pantheon stepping up a little too close. Now we got the Ornn all going in, and now we have friends coming. Nautilus is trying to help him out. Let's see if they can off. Oh, there we go, good, because he was just had to tick away from death. But that will be death for Bubble Puppy going down. Ornn is still trying to take down this Nautilus. Nautilus is biting it out, waiting to see when he can hook himself away. No, Yasuo was like, not this time. He hooks himself to the turret and he makes it out, but Ignite is on. Let's see. Oh, the Ignite did it, and he dies.
Alright, so a nice little way of getting back in the game for the blue team. Those are the kinds of things you need to look for when you're in this position. You know you have the scaling advantage. You know that if you can just hang on, maybe creep your way back in, that you can get back into this game. But we have Evelyn coming up.
Ooh, Evelyn is coming up. Let's see. They know something might be going on, but it's a dangerous place to back.
Pantheon has ult. Pantheon has ult.
Oh, we're waiting to see Evelyn coming around. Will they make it back in time? And Nick has not started the back right away. And that might spell his fate. Can we? But he is going after the Evelyn. And they decide to just leave. But Pantheon is coming in with his ult. And he is chasing down his prey. Ornn is trying to run as fast as he can. And he gets slowed, and he wins. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Okay, he's dead. Evelyn comes back and he says, not on my turn. Okay, and then, bot side, now we got more stuff. Xayah had gone up a little bit too far, and the blue team feels comfortable having seen the jungler up top lane come down. So are they going to try this turret dive? Abject starts up his ult, trying to get ERPs. Nice dodging around James, good job. And they say, nah, I don't want this. And he lives through that turret dive, and so they decide to fight over Scuttle. It's not really a fight, it's more campaign, that's fine. But Wukong is in on Cam, he's rooted down, and
fail flash. Oh no.
He's dead. That's a huge shutdown over to Bubble Puppy. 750 for that. But knock, knock, knock. What is that? That's Nautilus on your door. And Alex comes back to answer him. But now Nautilus finds himself in a hard spot with all the blue team collapsing on him. And he gets shot and he gets killed. This is getting a little scrappy, y'all. But that's okay because it is fun.
So this is exactly the kind of thing that blue team wanted. Look at the gold lead now. We're down to 2.7k. We have swung back in their favor. We have the Ornn items that we had talked about earlier starting to come in. So when Ornn hits level 13, that's when it starts to make a huge difference in that gold lead. So it's kind of a little bit confusing for those first-time viewers out there, but that gold number you're seeing at the top is a little bit misleading now because in that item that Ornn has, he has about 1,000 gold or more extra in the stats that he gets from that. And after he completes that next item, he can upgrade a second one for himself, making a total of about 3,000 gold just on himself. And every level after that, he can upgrade about 1,000 gold.
While it's up, look at those numbers on the CS. You can kind of talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So those numbers that are beside the portraits on the champion, like we had talked about briefly earlier, are the number of creeps, or the creep score that they had killed of those little pawns. So basically,
starting to get evened out.
Yep, that's giving an idea of the game state in combination with the kills and the objectives. Those towers also give gold, so that's what gives us totals at the top of the TP coming in.
We're gonna have a little fighty fight around this other cloud trade coming up. Red team had set up vision, but blue team is coming in. Ornn is out, and it's not the team. Oh my gosh! And Bubble Puppy just gets deleted. Oh my gosh! There's so many things going on. There's so many people, and they're all attacking each other. I don't even know what's going on at this point. And a lot of people was trying to run away. They said that my team is dead because we have a triple kill on that Wukong. Wukong is broken, and that is beautiful. And he is absolutely using that break for himself. Ignite is not going to quite do it, but keeps him out of the fight. Blue seems like this is our drag. We won it, and we want it. And they are taking it down. Meanwhile, Hansifer is going back to bot lane turret, and he came back once more. Wonders if he can pull him off, but he does not. They get dragged, and they run out. A beautiful team fight by the blue team. Peter's going to fight more.
We have to talk about that knockup from the Ornn. It was so beautiful. And we have to talk about that Yasuo and what it means to have a knockup on your team. The way that he was able to get the multi-man knockup on the Ornn leading into the Yasuo, leading into all the damage, was essentially what made that team fight over instantly. You could see how the CC was layered, how they couldn't do anything until their health bars were gone. And that just led into the easy Drake pickup, evening up the Drakes 2-2. So we are approaching the third Drake that leads into the fourth. And we have the bot lane, and red team
gets that, or blue team, sorry, gets that bot lane turret down from the red, which is really nice, opening up the map a bit more in their favor. Yeah, you can keep talking about that team fight. That was huge. That was beautiful.
That was huge. That was beautiful. And look at the gold. Look at how it has evened out. So with we might have a dive coming.
We might have a dive. Cam. We might not have a dive.
Oh my goodness.
Cam says no, that was not fair, and he takes back that shutdown. Meanwhile, Nick top lane is Ornn comes just to say, hey, stay off me.
That is the power of that assassin champion that we talked about, how he finds a squishy champion and he just deletes him from the map instantly. So just the Ornn ult coming out there to dissuade the dive, make sure that they are not going to push that any further, but a beautiful pick by Hansifer to try and get them back in the game, because even though that gold lead is looking a little bit higher for the red side, we actually have a lead for the blue team right now because of those Ornn items and because of that scaling advantage. So we have to keep an eye on how that's going to progress over the course of the rest of the game. So if you are the blue team right now, hopefully you're recognizing you have that advantage and you can start setting up some vision control around that also important Baron objective. So that's that thing we have in the top side of the map now where the Rift Herald used to be, and it gives a absolutely massive buff for 3 minutes to the team that takes it. So we have a toggle of vision here right now. We can see that you can only see what red team sees right now, so this gives you a much better idea of the fog of war and how that interacts with the vision control. Right now red team does have the better vision control over that Baron area, so we'll see if blue team pushes in to try and take that back from them. We have some grouping in the top lane, maybe trying to push into that jungle.
Coming on. They're all kind of trying to get this vision set up because you do not want to be left in the dark, metaphorically and just truthfully. You don't want to be stuck in that fog of war and not knowing what's going on. But it seems like it's just a playful kind of vision dance right now.
In League of Legends, are you afraid of the dark? Yes, you are.
Hey, I'm afraid of it in real life too.
That darkness. It is something that anything can come out from if you don't see champions on the map. Oh, in the bot
lane. Let's see. We have Phoenix who's like, I might be afraid of this Nautilus. It's gonna be a close one, but he has friends, and his friends came first. But he's still dead. Oh man. I get by with a little help from my friends, and then he died with a little help from his friends. But Logical did not go alone, took him down. Meanwhile, top lane, they say, oh, you know, there were two, but I'm gonna push this, and they push this top lane down while they have the wave backing up. Ramsey said he's headed up that way, along with Abject or Jin, and they're you can see they're pinging it, saying, hey, we don't want to give this up, but it's too late. They come and they get this farm, and the top lane, which is really the bot lane of red side, is leaving back and checking out Baron Vision again.
Yep, so worth talking about really quick that the lanes the champions go to at the beginning don't necessarily define where they have to go the entire game. So just at that beginning part, you want one person in each lane at least, so you can make sure to be getting the gold and the experience from those minions. But later on in the game, it becomes much more about map control, vision control, objective control. So we see that roaming around of those champions. We see the dragon, the next one, which is the third one for either team, is much more important. So we're getting to that soul point, that one away from the dragon soul at the fourth Drake. This is something they really want to be setting up around. So we see the shuttlecraft taken, we see the control ward in the pit.
Yep, absolutely. And I'm very proud of them as one of their coaches. You can tell they're really trying to play smart on vision, and keep an eye on what's going on, because you've seen it already. If the people get caught out or something like that, it can then turn the whole next couple of minutes because you can capitalize on that. So it's just a very important thing to keep in mind. Logical gets caught out by that trap, and then the W's thrown out, but it's all good. Nothing happens.
How scary this fog of war is, though.
They're dancing, and he took the blast cone away. The drag is there. They're taking away from the vision. Red team has started it, pulling it out, so that way it's a little harder for the team to get it. The team is hopping on in. They are sweeping that rush and standing here. The trap resets. Out. Got the knock up, and that is death for Pantheon. Hop back in to re-engage. Again, good charm on a lot of people, but not enough. And the Abby Asian dives. And then this is no good for red team. More death. The Zonia's is popped, and Hansifer comes back only to die. Eat your peas leaves. He does not want his peas eaten. He's going away, and the blue team gets the grape.
But an ace. Only Xayah remaining on the red team, and this is huge. Let's see if they take it straight over to the Baron. It's definitely something they can do.
They're thinking about it.
They're thinking about it.
They're either going to push this, so they're going to push this mid, and try to get this turret. I think they're trying to open up the map, especially since they have their two mid turrets down.
Yep, they're just taking the safe route, getting some more gold. You know, it is hard to kind of know your game state when you're in that game, since they don't have this beautiful spectator mode that we do to see the advantages exactly. So they are taking that control back, making it much easier to set up around this Baron objective.
Now, Peter, do you think that there should have been the re-engage from the red team after they lost their top laner? Do you think that was maybe just a miscommunication with the red team, or did the blue team just really play that focus well?
So this is something that comes down to team composition. So we have to look at the tools that the blue team has for a 5v5 team fight versus the red team. The red team is much more of what you would call a pick composition. So Pantheon has a global ultimate, Evelynn has stealth, and they are able to utilize that to get isolated targets incredibly easy. But when you have all of those people in the same place, what do you have? You have the Braum ult, you have the Yasuo ult to work off of the Wukong, the Braum, and the Ornn with all their knockouts. You have an insane amount of crowd control where by the time you are even able to control your champion again, you are most likely already dead if you get caught in that initial engage. So that's something that Red Team is going to have to be very cognizant about if they want to actualize the win condition of their composition.
They really have to get a pick before these objective fights because they don't want to just 5v5 these guys.
Not anymore.
That Arnold, it's huge.
At this point in the game, blue team is in it commandingly. They have those 3 Drakes, they have matched those mid turrets back, and the junior varsity team showing up huge.
Way to go, guys. But that being said, you still have to keep in mind, and I know with the Ornn items, it's not quite accurate, but if you look at the red team, they're still farming really well, considering all these team fights that have been going the blue team's way. You know, you look at that now, the Xayah has 237, you know, there's a commanding lead top lane.
We actually have a CS lead in every lane. The red team. So that is why the gold is still in their favor. Oh, we have an engage.
Oh, and the Ornn all comes in. They're trying to catch out the Rakan, and they absolutely do. Oh no, she jumps to her husband or boyfriend. Leave it. And then they go back in. And then they go back in.
Is she out?
Away. Will she make it away? Wukong is pretty
good.
Oh, huge root with the feather.
The re-engage.
Not enough though. Death in the face. And the blue team is trying to find where did he come from, where did he go. Nautilus is going to execute, trying to not let anyone get the damage for his death. But he dies very slowly. He's a tanky boy. Alex is trying to fight him down. He's ultimating all the way to the fountain.
Oh, Xander's back. Bubble Puppy's back.
Gosh, Bubble Puppy.
Caught him out.
Hit on that.
The thing to keep in mind there, though, that was a very, very good move given
super smart
by Brandon, by the Nautilus, because if he hadn't done that, they could have turned straight to the Baron. He applied that pressure on the bot side of the map, and he spent so much time on that chase that now, look, Xayah's back up, Rakan's back up. They can't go to the Baron. They can get some vision control, but they can't do it. So that was a fantastic heads-up play.
And you know, Peter, that's kind of the thing too. Sometimes when you're playing people, you know, you maybe take chases that you shouldn't necessarily. But, you know, you want to get that kill on that person, and like you said, that might have cost him Baron, but great job on Nautilus's part, and Wukong, nice job backing and getting that last kill in there. So now the blue team is
they're thinking about
trying to find vision. Ooh, and they're just starting Baron. They're just starting it. And does the red team even know?
They don't know yet. Look at this front door. Look at the toggle. They have no idea.
They pinged them. They maybe pinged them, and now they maybe seen. Nope. They're just going to take it. They just took it. Boom. Gone.
Blue team has slain Baron Nashor, so that instantaneously gives you 300 gold to every player, 1500 gold total, and it also gives you that buff that we talked about earlier. So that buff gives you stats, that buff gives you when you are close to your minions, your pawns, it makes them to super pawns. So it makes them much stronger, it makes them move faster, it gives you a great way to try and break open the base of the enemy team. Let's see what they do with it.
JV team, now the gold looks pretty exactly even, but as Peter has mentioned before, the Ornn has already upgraded items, so they are actually ahead, and they have more drags, and they have Baron. You would not have thought this, you know, JV versus Varsity, is this the upset, but they're playing really cleanly. That being said, Varsity has still had some really nice plays, some really good moments on their champions, but you know, the blue team has really been playing a lot of them, playing like every night together, and you can see some of that synergy paying off here. Oh, and we might have them fight. They're getting scuttled down. They're like, okay, is red team going to?
So this is huge. This is the Drake soul that we talked about earlier.
They might not just want to get it.
They're gonna get it.
They're just gonna get it.
There it is. So the Drake soul for the Cloud Drake gives you 10% movement speed. It also gives you quite a bit of movement speed after you use your ultimate ability. So they got the ultimate cooldown from those just normal Cloud Drake buffs, and now they have the movement speed to boot. So they're going to be moving much more swiftly.
They're just pushing fast, you know?
They're flanking.
Oh, okay. Evelyn is coming around back. They can't see her. They can't see her. Nope. She's right there dancing, and they're deciding not to take this. They don't want it. When you have that Soul and that Baron, I mean, it's a very scary thing, and blue team's smart. They're just grouping up as 5. They know that their team fight is stronger, and they don't want to give red team a chance to get a pick and then come back into the game with it.
They do really want to make sure they use this Baron time wisely, though, because doing this reset now, taking this back, that's taking a lot of time off of that buff, so...
Something Coach Peter will talk to them about later, I am sure.
When you are that strong, when you have the better 5v5 team fight, when you're all sticking together like that, the pick comp can't really do much against you. So definitely I think pushing in that mid lane there when they had that buffed up wave would have been the right call, but they're just taking that safe route. I think they don't want to throw this lead, and that is very understandable. They're in a great spot right now.
And they know what some of these guys can do mechanically, especially with some 1v1s and things like that. So, you know, they're trying to play to their team comp, they're trying to play, you know, in a smart way, and I respect that. Baron's still up, and you can see they have the empowered minions pushing in that mid lane. We got some wards coming out, possible TP wards for flanks, things like that. And, oh, do we have it? We have Hansifer coming around back. But nope, just saying, I'm not sure. A good root from the Xayah feathers, and the blue team backs off. They back off. So everyone's kind of dancing. You know, you don't want to take the wrong move and totally blow it. And they're saying we got Baron spawning in 2 minutes 52 seconds.
All right, so we have that Baron buff coming off, and what are they going to try and do? We have the engage, maybe?
Ooh, Nautilus, is he caught out? He's pretty tanky, though.
Yep, at this point in the game, Nautilus, even though he is building some damage items, still a very naturally tanky champion because of his abilities, because of his base stats. So
and you just look at him, he looks like a tanky boy, you know?
Yeah, he does. Look at how big and bulky he is with all that armor and his huge anchor. So, worth noting in that dragon pit, now that, oh, we have engaged.
We got Orno coming out and hitting into it. That might be all Camo ulting to get away. Oh, we have the Braum all down and no deaths so far. Okay, we got a flash out though from Rakan, and they make their way back to the turret. Safe and sound. You'll see how fast blue team is with that cloud buff. I've had it before. It feels good to be that fast, man.
Oh, and we have Cam cutting the mid wave. Very smart play from him right here. So we see that he is blocking those minions so they cannot siege in that middle lane that they were pushed up in. So we have some huge ultimate cooldowns here on the blue team down for the next...
Ooh, they're coming back though. They're about to pincer Hansifer here. Good dodge out of the way of the Braum.
Can he get away?
And he put on his sweeper to try to see him. Oh, got the slow. He got the root. He caught the Zonias.
He doesn't have flash.
Close. That was some good damage, but not enough.
Shutdown comes out from Jin, from Blake. So let's see what they try and do with that member down. They can get some map control back. They can
friends.
Yes, they can. They can absolutely get some map control with that advantage. You see the Jin trap going down, and they're going to, looks like, siege in the middle lane. They have to be pretty careful without their 2 tanks with them. So let's see what they do here.
Good farm support from Cam. We got a TP coming in on the blue side as they try to push this mid turret down and crack into this base.
Nice one.
And there is Nautilus all down. And he gets pulled in, and death, and 800 struck down to the Pantheon. And now, just the re-engage in the pick they wanted. The numbers advantage is on their side. He gets cut out at the end, but he's still also a pretty tanky boy. But not tanky enough to fight them all. He's still not dead, though. This is taking a long time. He might get out of there. Oh, my actual goodness. Okay, he's dead.
Orn tried, he tried. But very important timing on those picks. We can see the Baron buff coming up soon, so instantly a red team sees they get the 2 picks. They move in for that control, and we might have another pick.
You see it happening. Oh, and then the blast cone, and that is it. That's a tanky Braum. Red team is pursuing this. They know they have the numbers advantage, but they don't want to pursue it too long, because like Peter had said, you know, timing is important, and, you know, with that Baron coming up, you want to be careful. Here's the Baron spawn, and they're starting it right on spawn. Red team is taking it. The Scuttle Crab just hopped up, but the red team, they're going to go back, get that vision, and they're piecing out. You know, they know that they're behind at this point a bit. Oh, but the Abject, we have the Jinno coming out, but there's no red team for it to hit, because they decided to stop it. So that would have been good if red team had kept doing it. That's a really safe way to check if they were going for that Baron.
If Jin doesn't have that blue trinket, the ultimate gives you vision, so
and that may also be something Coach Peter talks to Jin about.
Definitely something you want at this point in the game on Jin, but that is fine. The ultimate is a great usage there to check because very much something you would expect for the red team to be on the Baron after those picks. So we have a little bit of a reset of the map state now. We also look down at that bottom Drake pit. We have the Elder Drake coming up. So after that Drake soul goes down that we talked about earlier, you have something called the Elder Drake that spawns, and this is the most powerful buff in the entire game.
Red team does not want to just get this on, but it looks like they might just be trading Baron for Elder.
Baron. Now this is a slightly uneven trade, but it's a different kind of trade. So the Baron buff gives you much more advantage in the push war. It allows you to siege those turrets more easily. The Elder Dragon gives you an execute on any champion that gets down to a certain threshold of health. So it is the strongest team fight ultimate in the game. They're heading over to that. Can they get there with me for this cloud? So let's see.
Or they just want to push. They say, hey, we have this. They have to fight us then, and we are terrifying to fight. And they are running it down mid.
They have the better team fight comp. They have the Elder Drake buff. Let's see what happens.
And Baron buff went down to red side, but now, they may not want this 5-on-5. You see Cam is coming around for that flank, but they might just give this inhibitor. They give it and they go out. Blue team playing it smart and safe. Will the red team look for that flank or will they let it go? But there's that assassin we had talked about before. But it's okay, it's okay. And there is Sonya, and then he runs to the defense. He says, we got you, and still death. Alex takes him down, but the red team has taken down Yasuo. Blue team says, okay, we'll leave it at that. Wow, good job. They were trying to get the cutouts to the cutouts, and then it turned into just a really nice little team fight.
So that ended up being a 2-for-1 for the red side, and that is huge. Them getting that pick off of that engage from Hansifer is absolutely massive because you do not want to have a direct 5v5 team fight. So we can see that's the exact type of situation we were talking about, where you get someone isolated, and even though he had the Elder buff, they still couldn't take him out with the Elder, getting those trade backs. So excellent job there, excellent capitalization for the red team to hang on in this situation they're in.
And this is just a good, fun game, man. You see all this back and forth between them. This is a fun way to do League. It's not a stomp on either way. Both teams trying to play to their proper winning variables and win conditions.
Their win conditions are definitely being capitalized upon by both teams pretty darn well. And I think that this is about as good of a game as we would ever want between two teams. This is very close, very back and forth. We're happy to see it.
Yep. And so now you'll see that both that inhibitor is down, and so and both bases are cracked into that. Mid turret's down on blue side, inhibit turret down on red side, which means they got some, empowered super minion people. Not empowered, sorry. Well, they're empowered if the Baron buff's on them, but
So something we should talk about real quick is what the inhibitors are. So the inhibitors are something that spawns super minions in a lane, and those minions are much stronger, and that lasts for 5 minutes. So we see the Baron buff is going to tick off very, very shortly here, since that was taken shortly after Elder. Now the Elder has already fallen, so the advantage is actually a little bit back towards the blue team now, since that inhib will be down for a bit yet. So let's see what they try and do with that map state. We're going to have that Elder and Baron respawning in a little bit here. So that should still barely be down when those objectives are coming back up. They're going to need to get some vision control and be very safe to not get picked before they come up. Staying grouped as a team for the blue side is going to be incredibly important, as the Pantheon is going to have that ult, and Evelyn at this point in the game can absolutely one-shot a squishy champion. So let's see what they do.
They're just clearing waves right now on the blue side. I think they're all kind of trying to see what'll be best and wait out some of these clocks of the neutral buffs. And meanwhile, you see the farm numbers. And they're going in the advantage now. Every lane has an advantage to the red side. But if you look up at that gold, it's still pretty darn close, and you take into account the orange. So I mean, this is actually, I've seen the Varsity and JV team square off a fair amount, and this is the closest it's ever been. So that's just exciting for both teams. And the mid is the blue team's running up mid there with a big amount of minions, but Nautilus is coming around.
Yep, so They are actually pushing into that lane that has the inhibitor open. That's often something that can be pretty difficult to do because of the way the lanes work. They are just going for the
They're just trying to end it. They're done with this. So they're on the Nexus turrets, and they are, oh man, they got a tanky Ornn there. Nautilus All is going down, and that stops them. Oh, and then beautiful guy, oh my gosh, red team is just destroying them. They said, hey, it's not in our house. And that was a beautiful knock-up. Oh my, okay, Peter will tell you more about this. That was just a way overextension on the blue team side. They did not take into account the Xayah damage.
This is a tragedy for the blue team. They pushed up that middle lane. They did not play the map, and oh my goodness.
The curse again.
It was the caster's curse, and they might just be able to end. Those are long death streaks. They already have a wave following.
We got Pantheon on that bottom turret, and now they're going for inhib here, and you're right, they may just try to end. Those are super long timers.
20 seconds on the Jhin. He's going to be the first one that has any kind of wave clear. I think they have it.
Oh my gosh, what an actual turn, and they are on the Nexus turrets. They're taking them down. They say, huh, we're still Varsity. All right, that was a good game, but this Nexus is ours, and they're hitting it, and they win it. Style points. All right, guys, great job. That was awesome. I'm Mrs. Sturman, aka Maestro Pants. We got Peter Sturman Wilson, aka Arya Deva. We had a lot of fun casting this, and great job to the team. We'll go talk to them now. Again, Hilliard Esports, League of Legends. And again, thanks again, Toast Caleb, for letting us use your Twitch. That was awesome, guys. Good game.
Fantastic job to all, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching.
Mm-hmm.